Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around fantasy Premier League. My name is Sitch.
And my name is James.
Made the short trip across West London, James, and we're now at one of the newly promoted clubs, but a returning correspondent.
I mean, Dara, you want to hear the things that Tom Med said about you, mate. It's disgraceful. Not you personally, but it's just, he's right up for game week 3. That's what I'm saying. Let me introduce you to Dara Curran, our Fulham correspondent. How are you, Dara?
Very good, thank you.
Let me just get Tom FPL dummy out of a hole because he's such a nice guy. He hasn't said nothing.
Yeah, really?
There are some that I'm fine for James to throw to the wolves, but definitely not Tom. He said you'd all turn up in suits, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I mean we'll turn up with wine and cheese and on our away day trips and everything. Yeah, of course.
Is that a rivalry, Brentford?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think it's become more so of a rival than obviously Chelsea. QPR is another one, but yeah, Brentford to a certain extent is a little bit of a rivalry. It's nice to get one over them in the playoffs a couple of years back, but yeah.
Yeah, he brought that up as well. I don't know why he brought it up, but he did. The first ever top flight meeting, I'm going to guess.
I believe so, yeah.
The two teams must be, yeah. And that's game week 3. That's quite early as well.
Got my tickets to that.
Have the TV picked it up?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I don't think they have, actually. I'm surprised. You mentioned you got tickets for that. You bought tickets for Liverpool?
No, not at all.
Expensive?
I went in and looked and on the day just when they became available, and I was like, nah, not having it. 65 quid for the cheapest one behind the goal, 100 quid in the either stand. I was like, nah, don't need to see Liverpool. Don't need to see us getting trashed 3-0. You know?
No, I think they really read the room wrong there. Have they changed any of them prices? I know the supporters trust had a real part.
Yeah, there was a bit of pressure from the supporters trust. Brentford, I got mine for, what was it, 34 quid, something like that. Brighton, I got it for 20 something. So it was 30. Members get a £5 discount on the tickets, but when you're getting a £5 discount on 100 quid, it's not really worthwhile. I think they were trying.
Well, that's reasonable. So
yeah,
we have to,
exactly.
We can criticise. We have to go the other way and say the price you pay for Brighton. That's great. That's very reasonable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I would have gotten a season ticket, but they sold out. There's only so many season tickets you can get. No, yeah, I don't know. It was a weird one because if you think they got the new stand and you're going to open up an extra 7,000 seats next season, if we go down, you've just priced everybody out and you've alienated the fan base. So
yeah, absolutely. Serge, timestamp this, please.
It is exactly 8 minutes past 8 on Monday evening, James.
And the reason for that is just before starting and hitting the record button, Dara said, "We've got news." And I've very much been following Dara's timeline as I stalk him, like I stalk all the correspondents, and it has been kind of getting more and more angrier by the day. And basically, sign up centre back, please. And we think something might be in place, Dara.
Yeah, it's looking like it's the chips are falling into place now. Some of the signings, Diop looks to be released. I'm guessing maybe Aguerd's injury isn't as bad as West Ham have feared, and Moyes seems to be given the green light for him to go, and the fee seems to be close to being agreed. So yeah, that one very happy about. Left-footed centre back, can't really argue. We've been crying out for a centre back for. I believe so, yeah.
Isn't he? I'm pretty sure he's left-footed.
Is he? Stand correct.
Even if he's not, any centre back will do at this point in time. Honestly, it's got to be better than Tim Brady.
I was talking to after we did the Forest pod with Mark Summons, we was talking a bit about yourselves and Bournemouth and stuff, and I think he has every right as a group of promoted clubs to have felt quite bullish looking at the business that yourselves and Bournemouth had been doing. And I mean, he said to me, "You're not going to start the season with Tim Ream, are they? They might do, mate. I don't know.
We're asking for trouble. We're asking for it."
This has been a real concern, though, isn't it? One centre back's not going to be enough here, is it? Because if he or Tosin get injured,
there's nobody else.
Yeah, you need bodies, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought January 1st, when the window properly opened, that everything would be kind of lined up. We'd been linked with all sorts of people, and it was like, oh, personal terms agreed, but that fee not agreed, and it just was taking so long. It was just going at a snail's pace. And then you kind of go, right, okay, well, if it's not July 1st, if we get them in before we go in pre-season, then we'll be all right. It just seems that like we've probably been up since April, May. We've known that, and we've just kind of blown that early lead and managing to get players in and getting them up to speed and gelled into the team.
Well, this is it. I mean, you referenced the playoff win against Brentford when obviously you came up, and it was it 3-week turnaround or something? I want to say between the two seasons, it was ridiculous, wasn't it?
I think it was 39 days.
Yeah, it was short anyway. It was a
short
period.
Short. And you've also got players at the World Cup, so it's very difficult to try to sign people at that point in time.
So it wouldn't have been a World Cup. I'm going back to when you.
Euros. Euros.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Euros?
No, year before, Dara. Year before. Before. It's got to be. You yo-yo, mate. You know.
I've lost track of it at this stage. Up, down.
So as the rest of us, we just know you never play Norwich.
Exactly.
That's all we know. But obviously, in that occasion, the club acted really late, partly because they didn't have time, and then there were all these loan signings, weren't they? And I thought, when you'd obviously, we knew in March you were going up, right? Kind of like latest April, it was all confirmed. And the one thing I was certain was, there's no way Fulham will do that again. They won't leave things late. I bet they go in earlier than everybody in the window. And yet here we are, sort of less than 2 weeks away, going, come on. What are you waiting for? That must be infuriating.
2 weeks from the start of the season, but still a month and a bit from the end of the window.
Yeah, but still, you want to have the key components in place. Like if we got four players that cover the key areas that we want to upgrade in, and then you can kind of bulk out the squad towards the end of the transfer window. Fair enough, great. You just want to get that starting 11 or 15 or whatever it might be. You want to get that 15 there and up to speed and know what the manager expects of them.
Exactly. The thing is as well, you say, okay, right, the window's open till, after game week 5, but 4 of Fulham's first 7 are Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea. So, I mean, if there's nothing from those, and there's nothing to say you can't get something from them, but it puts real pressure on Wolves away in 2 and Brentford at home in 3 to hit the ground running. Brighton at home in 5 is not easy either. So, those 3 fixtures, Wolves, Brentford and Brighton, are really important. Otherwise, you could be in a position where we're sitting here after game week 7 going, oh, it's not impossible. There's 31 games to go, but it could look uphill, right?
Yeah, I think the only thing is the other promoted teams don't have great fixtures either. So they'll probably be in the same bed as us. It'll just depend on the other teams ahead of us as well. The other teams that we're expecting to be in and around us. How far will that gap be, and can we keep in touching distance till our fixtures turn?
So we also think Bernd Leno possibly coming from Arsenal as well. They're obviously happy to let him go.
Like Arsenal have dropped their fee to 8 million plus add-ons.
And listen, in terms of Premier League quality goalkeeper, he is. So I think that would be a very decent signing. And Manor Soloman just confirmed at time of recording. We knew that was going to happen. Is he a winger? I want to say, Dara?
Yeah, left winger.
Yeah. We've known it was going to happen.
He can kind of play across the front 3, but his preferred position is left wing.
We've known it was going to happen. He's been with Fulham for a few weeks, but we didn't think it could be announced officially till next Monday, August the 1st. It's had to do with this.
Yeah, it was a little bit complicated. Yeah. But
that's done. I presume he comes in as first choice.
I'd imagine so. I think ahead of Cabano. Whether or not he'll start against Liverpool, not sure. He has been training. I've watched the video just before this. He has been training with the group, so that's good at least, but not involved. And possibly we'll see him. We've got Villarreal in a pre-season friendly, the last one before the season starts. So might see him there, get a bit of a glimpse.
So this will be interesting. So by the time this goes out, there's a fair chance all the listeners will know his price.
Yeah.
What price would turn your head?
5.5 might.
As a midfielder, I take it we're assuming it's got to be, right?
Yeah. If he comes in any less than that, then definitely. All I've seen of him really is YouTube videos. But he looks looks well class. He looks tidy.
Of course he does. As Mark said to me, James, you look tidy on YouTube. Obviously playing football, not in front of the camera.
Well, he comes with Champions League experience. He scored twice against Real Madrid. He scored against City in Champions League. That's got to mean something, that he's at least got that ability. Looks like a really tidy dribbler. A great turn of pace by the looks of things, that he can just kind of go up the gears and beat a man. The only thing that I noticed from these videos that might be a little bit against him would be he's right-footed, but he plays on the left, so he tends to try to go in on his right quite a bit. I'm not sure how good his left foot is, so we'll see. If his trickery is good enough, he'll be able to pull that off and get onto his preferred foot. But he seemed quite a little bit predictable to me, in that he kept wanting to come back inside onto the right. Okay.
Would we describe him as direct replacement for Carvalho? I mean, this sounds like a different player to me.
Yeah, no, more left wing, I think. Possibly might play there, but from what I've been reading, we're looking at somebody else maybe as well, just a little bit more depth. I think Muniz could be going out on loan, but provided another attacker comes in. So there might be somebody that's kind of false 9, 10, 9.5 maybe. that'll compete maybe with Pereira and some others in that position.
Yeah, I mean, we know Mitrovic is as
now
he's a lock, basically.
Yeah. But then if anything FPL, happens, then
you need a backup. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that about Muniz, and we spoke a little bit about him in May. You weren't overly convinced that he could step in if such a scenario happened, but be a call to let him go and have someone else come in. So it's an awkward one, though. I suppose it's kind of like a lesser like with Tottenham and Kane. Like whoever comes in isn't going to start. It's the same, isn't it? And someone's got to know that, basically. So maybe, like you said, it will be a different type of player or a young forward, potentially, maybe.
Quite possibly. We might already have somebody in the club that could fit into that, maybe a Jay Stansfield, but
I heard he might be going out on loan, I read.
He may well be. I don't know. I think with the profile of the players we've been linked with, I think we might be looking for somebody that's a little bit different to Mitrovic, with a bit of pace. We've added a lot of pacey players to the squad. So I think counter-attacking football is something we might see a lot more, rather than our possession base, because we obviously can't do that against every team this season.
Actually, before we move on to FPL, is there a fear that you might be a bit open?
Not as much as previous seasons, I don't think. Provided we get that centre back. I think what we didn't have in the previous 2 seasons is the profile of our midfielders was, we didn't have that traditional number 6, somebody who could just sit there and break up the play and ping a pass and spring another attack. We had more attacking players, more flamboyant Rolls Royce style players like your Anguissas and your Series. And I think we had Kearney in there as well, who's not that style of player at all. So what I've seen and what I've read is that it could either be 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 with Palhinha and Reed as that 2, or a 4-1-4-1 is what it kind of looked like, and Silva had hinted towards that. So he would just be that guy who's just going to sit there on front of the 2 centre backs and mop everything up and be that shield.
And to clarify for the listeners, you're talking about Palhinha, not Reed.
Not Reed, no. He's a bit more dynamic than that, but Palhinha from pre-season looks a bit of an animal, just breaking everything
he's
up.
Got the bits I've seen of him, he's got a monstrous stride. He looks like he might turn quite slow, but he's got this recovery stride, he just looks like a giant.
Yeah.
And he can play as well. I think he looks a cute signing, actually.
I think of all the players we've been linked with, he kind of excites me the most. I think he'll have the biggest impact for us.
So give Dara your opinion on Diop.
He's a good defender, and he's fine. Like, I think he hasn't kicked on. I think he hasn't kicked on like we hoped he would. But he's got a long stride. At the back end of last season, where we were trying to see out games, Moyes would always bring him on for the last 10-15 minutes to shore things up quite often. He's no nonsense. I think he's a good signing for you. I don't know what price you're going to end up paying, but I can't imagine it's going to be more than 15 million, 10, 15 million, something along those lines.
I've seen it in euros, which is always a bit difficult. I've seen 18 million euros reported, which would be 15.
That's probably fair. He's 25. You just need to find a left-footed centre half to go with him because he is right-footed.
Fair enough.
Oh, you did have a check, did you?
I had a cheeky little check.
Good man.
It's not just me.
Yeah, I think he's. We've now got obviously Kurt Zouma again and Bonner as a front three with Craig Dawson.
And Dawson as a backup.
Yeah, I can see why they're willing to let him go, and even Creswell plays left-sided centre half sometimes. I can see why they're willing to let him go, and he hasn't particularly kicked on. But for bottom half of the Premier League, I think he's perfectly fine.
What about pace-wise? Has he
he's
got
quick.
At his speed?
Quick.
Okay, because I think what we did last season, we did have quite a high line, so I think having a bit of pace there for recovery is going to be something that we might need.
Yeah, it's funny because obviously James and I have been recording, so we haven't been up to speed with the news. And you popped on, you said, "Oh, Diop's potentially looking at that moves on the cards." The West Ham Twitter account posted a video of him doing some dancing moves with Kurt Zouma earlier today, so they clearly weren't in the know of what was going on behind the scenes.
So who let the cat out the bag?
Wow, boom, boom, well done, James. There's no kicking cats.
I really am going to be here all week this week, kids.
Yeah, no, I'm like you, kind of that 15 million quid mark. If Diop's coming in, I think it's a very good sign.
It sounds like a good deal for everybody. I mean, we're only going back 3 years ago, Sergio. He's been linked with like Liverpool and United for 40 million and stuff.
Yeah.
Why do you think that didn't kick on? Was it injuries?
Confidence, I think, had a little bit of a part to play. He does come across like a confidence player. Like if he makes a mistake or two in a game,
I get it.
It can play on his mind a little bit. He was still young. I mean, 25. It's not young anymore, but when he came to the club, he was still young. And maybe he thought he was going to come in and be first choice. And obviously, Bonner has just been so solid. Dawson really stepped up. And then we bought Zouma, so he's been down the pecking order. I think confidence is probably a part of it.
He's basically in the back four. He's your fifth choice, I would say.
Yeah, at the moment, that's the thing. So I can see why they're going to let him go. I don't wish him ill, wish him well, but I think it's the right move for both clubs and the player.
Good.
How do you back four? I guess at the moment, Dara would pick itself. What we're saying, Tete, Adebayo, Diop if he comes in, and Robinson. Would that be right?
Yeah, I mean, Mbabu's been linked. Whether he'll go straight in,
yes, from Wolfsburg. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, another pacey guy. I think if you look back at Silva's history with the likes of Hull, Everton, who else has he been with?
Watford.
The fullbacks, Watford. The fullbacks have been pretty key to his system because one of the wingers, whichever one, I'm guessing Solomon from what I've seen and why he likes to cut in. He likes one of his wingers to come in closer to the number 10, which allows the fullback then to bomb on. So I'm guessing.
Okay, I mean, Wilson will come off the right if he plays there, won't he? Same thing. No?
He might do. Yeah. He has done. Wilson's like he just play on the shoulder of the last defender. He's just got pace to burn. So there'll be balls over the top. I think we'll try to implement that quite a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of gone through the 7 stages, I think, with Fulham this pre-season, just like, oh, it'll be fine, and no, we're fucked. And
but if you get them 3 in, Leno, Solomon's done, better. And Diop, that looks better. I mean, depth is a concern.
Yeah, I think aside from Carvalho replacement, every other signing that's we've made or is potentially going to happen is probably an upgrade on what we already have. So I think from previous seasons, it's a matter of quality, not quantity, that we're looking for this season, and it looks like we're kind of looking to stay up. Well, obviously that's the goal in every season, but when you look at last season, and it was like 7 or 8 loans or whatever the hell it was, and now we haven't a single loan in the side. Well, not yet. Obviously, only signed 3. But yeah, it just looks. We've got that. I think of the 3 squads that are promoted, we have the most solid base to work from, and then not the biggest squad turnover. Whereas we're kind of looking at, like, obviously Palhinha comes in for Seri, which is an upgrade there. The only one Pereira is the only one that is a little bit of question mark for me. And then centre back, whoever that's going to be, is going to have to be an upgrade on Tim Ream. Right back has pretty much rotated last season, so it remains to be seen whether that will be an improvement or not. But those are the three kind of four areas.
It's very fair comment that other than obviously Seri's gone, and I think you're quite right. Palhinha definitely looks upgrade, and obviously Carvalho's gone to Liverpool. It's disappointing for you, but you knew that was happening anyway. It is the team that absolutely blitzed the league, scored a shitload of goals. Why should we be sitting here concerned, actually? But or is there a disappointment, like I said, that it's just had so long?
Yeah, it's a bit slow. We've been quite torpid in our business, and everything off the pitch has just been quite slow. I think they've only just announced the sponsorship today. I was supposed
to had the kit come out yet?
No, kit's out Friday. It's an absolute joke. I don't think season tickets have landed. I think they've just started landing on people's doors today. Everything's just so last minute.
Poor Nico was looking everywhere for Fulham kit. It's not out, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I think
just use last year's shirt. No one will notice.
You get the thing on FPL where it says the shirts are not the official shirts, and it still says like these shirts are still fake, including the outfield shirt of Fulham.
Yep.
Yeah. Pereira.
Yeah.
You hinted at him a bit there. He's in your FPL team, isn't he?
He's in mine, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a bit of a no-brainer.
He's in James's. This is a three-way loving that he's in for everybody.
I think it's a bit of a no-brainer.
The only thing is, every year there is a 4.5 that is everybody's clear. There's no argument, and I don't think there is. I wouldn't even try and debate with you to say, yeah, he's the best 4.5 in the game at the moment. But invariably it doesn't work out who everyone wants. It's like, Dendoncker was all the rage a few years ago. I mean, these things sound ridiculous in hindsight, but this is rare in the sense that it looks like he's going to play number 10 as well. Is that right?
Yep, that's from what I've seen. Number 10. He was also on corners in pre-season. Yep. So two assists for Mitrovic from corner. Almost identical goals as well, right into the near post. So his delivery looked quite good. Yeah, he looks decent. He looks up for it in pre-season. Flying into tackles, pressing really well, dribbling, looks good. I guess, like, I've looked at some previous numbers for him that like his underlying stats are decent, but it's just the actual end product that hasn't really materialized. I guess it's hard to say for United where that's gone wrong. A lot of managers changing. They've been pretty woeful for a couple of seasons. We've had like one good season maybe in the last 3 or 4 where there's actually been options from United in midfield.
So who knows? Consider, because I don't actually think, and sorry, this is shit content. I don't think there's actually a debate to say whether to have him or not. I just think do it, because he's one of them where it could look so obvious. If you try and be clever about it, I think just go in. The debate, rather than get him or not get him, there's a case to start him, isn't there? Because he's so cheap.
I was thinking this the other day. I think he's going to be left on a lot of benches, and there's going to be points left on a lot of benches.
Well, if he's on set pieces, there are going to be some very unpredictable returns. And there is a case to say that people are struggling to fit in that extra third premium or whatever, or a Raheem Sterling, for example, that kind of player. You start with a Pereira and accept where you're at and know is 2s, but every 4th or 5th game, it might be a 5 or something.
Potentially.
It could work, couldn't it?
I just think for the price, it's a bit of a no-brainer. He's just an enabler for everything in the squad. And like from some of the teams that I've seen, the drafts on Twitter, they're scrimping quite a lot on midfield. So if you want to save that extra million to bump up somewhere else, if you want to go that from Neto down to something else, or a Bailey down to something else.
I see him in the majority of drafts. I don't see him in the starting 11.
No,
and I'm not saying that.
I mean, you wouldn't for Liverpool, obviously.
No,
why not?
Rotate him. Oh.
No, honestly, why not? If you go with, let's say you go with 4.5 million forward, Pereira, Josh Da Silva, we discussed last night, and Nico Williams, which one of them 4 do you want to start with opening day? If you decide we've spoken about this, so you go with like a 10 and a 5, and you say, I'm going to pick one of these shit ones to start, what do? Do you pick Pereira on set pieces against Liverpool? Do you pick Nico Williams at Newcastle? Like, I don't think that's straightforward.
Yeah, my bench is lined up at the moment. Nico Williams, then Pereira, then Josh Da Silva.
But Fulham
I haven't given it a lot of thought.
Fulham could lose to Liverpool 5-1 and he could set up a goal. This is the point, right?
Yeah. I'm with you. But yeah, like Dara's saying, like it's a no-brainer in the sense that the way I'm looking at it is how many cheap players that I know are going to play can I get in? Nico Williams, Josh Da Silva, Pereira, whoever else, and then let me use all the money on like a 9 versus 6 strategy, and that makes Pereira so attractive. And I think a lot of people are thinking that way. I can't say I know enough about him from his previous career, but everything I hear is like, he's worth it.
I think like with Diop, I think it's a bit of a confidence thing, and he probably needs Marco Silva to put an arm over his shoulder and get his confidence back up. But I mean, if he can do that for Mitrovic, who was about to leave the club, who was pretty disillusioned after Scott Parker's era, then he can surely do a job on Andreas Pereira.
Yeah, I just think it's debate whether he's 11th man, 12th man, or 13th man. For many people, that's probably where the debate is with it. And I wonder if the closer we get and people try and force in like that kind of Sterling type player, if we'll see more of Pereira just sitting in teams. What's the worst that's going to happen? Get you 2 points. That's where it's at. There wouldn't be a threat to him starting at the moment, would there, Dara?
Not this present time. No.
Nobody say you won't add, but at the moment, no.
Yeah, we may well add, but nothing strong, no strong links with anybody at this point in time. So yeah, he's in for me.
It's that as well, to go back to obviously what we discussed with Tom about Josh Da Silva, and not even be certain if he great 4.5 million midfielder, but probably only to supplement with Pereira, it feels like, if you're going like 5-3-2 or something like that. That's
the other thing is, like, Silva's specifically asked for this for Pereira. Like he's gone out. This is the type of player that he wants, and he wants him to play in the number 10. In his interview with the club, he said that's my best position, and that's what I spoke to the manager, and he said that's where I'm going to play. And you don't go out and spend 8 to 10 million on a player like that if you're not going to start them, especially with us, where we've been really penny pinching on our transfer so far. It looks like we have to do that to avoid financial fair play.
His bottom price, any returns he gets in your FPL team, is value. His bottom price. Any returns he gets is value for you. Yeah, absolutely. And if he's going to be on set pieces, was it 2 he set up at Estoril on Sunday? I know one was definitely.
No, one was him. One was Wilson.
Okay.
He got one in the previous. It was Benfica. He assisted him.
Yeah, that's interesting, that, because I think most of us would have just assumed, this is like an added layer now, most of us would have assumed Wilson would be on those set pieces, no?
He is, well, from what it looks like, he's from one side. Who took them last season? Yeah. Seri took a few last season, and I think Harrison Reed took the odd couple as well. But
so we probably got Pereira on half, Wilson on half.
Exactly.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think people are quite clued up on. I mean, Pereira's ownership is pretty high, 23.8% at the time of recording. As people are trying to find money, they might go towards him. So I think people are quite aware of the potential that he offers. I was surprised to see how many people have bought Mitrovic, not because I don't think he's going to do well this season, but because of the opening game of Liverpool. You're like, do you want to start with him, or is it somewhere that you can move to in game week 2 or game week 3? But he's nearly up to 10% ownership, which is more than I thought.
Yeah. I mean, if the fixtures had been different, I think he would have been in everybody's starting 11. In everyone's team.
I thought 2 months ago this would probably be the podcast. Is Mitrovic yes or no? What is he, 7? He goes, that's it. I'm
6.5.
6.5, mate.
I mean, it's a good price, but 1.5 more for Jesus, or even 0.5 more for Tony with so much better fixtures. It's worth saying, and me and Dara discussed this back in May, is get your head out of the Mitrovic. It didn't work 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Forget it. Wipe it from your brain. This football team is playing to his strengths now, and he will do well. He will clearly be your talisman. We're not saying like Pereira's going to outscore him. No, not at all. Mitrovic will be the man. I don't think there's much doubt about it. It's just, I mean, the way those fixtures have fallen is so rough. That said, game week 8, Forest, Newcastle, West Ham's not great, but not the worst. Bournemouth, Villa, Leeds, Everton. There is a really good run there from game week 8.
Yeah, I think that's my plan. I did toy with the idea of putting them in, but as you say, when you've got Jesus or somebody else for just that extra 1.5 million, it kind of just picks himself. And like the way this season's panned out, that you've got that wild card that you need to play in the first half, and then you've got the extra things, the extra transfers during the World Cup. It just makes sense to play the fixtures. It doesn't make sense to really start them from the beginning.
It's worth saying as well, actually, at that period as well, Arsenal come into a more difficult run. So got the 3 home games. I've got 3 home games out of 4 from game week 9. Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City are the 3 home games. So you could even make a case to say, slide it down.
You've got an extra 1.5. Yeah.
Could be. Yeah. I think it's, I wouldn't, if someone said to me, I'm going Mitrovic at the start, I wouldn't put anybody off because clear known talisman. I mean, Dara, how many goals did he get last year?
43.
I mean, it's absurd.
And 7
Crazy
assists.
numbers.
It's absurd. His confidence absolutely flying. He's got the love of the manager now, which, as you said to us, is so important. If someone wants to go with him because they're thinking longer term, fine.
I definitely wouldn't put them off. I wouldn't put people off. Like if you think he's by the end of the season, he's going to be the best value at that price, and that's what you want to. That's the amount you want to allocate to that second striker spot. Then why not go with him from the start?
The problem is people are going to wildcard before that game week 8 comes around. In most cases, that's how it feels like. And then it makes it really difficult. I think for those who wildcard around that time, Mitrovic, Solanke, even as Johnson, Awayini, there'll be a few from the promoted clubs that look interesting.
So what happens if Jesus does nothing the first couple of weeks? Mitrovic maybe next one against Liverpool, gets a couple against Wolves. What happens there?
No,
Are we going to see people jumping ship? No.
Yeah. You don't think so, James?
I think he would have to do very well. He would have to, I think, for people to, it's not like people aren't aware how many goals Mitrovic got last year. I think he would have to have a start like what Pukki had when he got the hat-trick against Newcastle in game week 2. So, yeah, that's exactly what happened with Pukki. He nicked a goal against Liverpool, and then game week 2, he got a hat-trick. Now, if that's what Mitrovic does, he scores against Liverpool and goes and gets 2 even at Wolves, then yeah, it's on, because then you're Brentford in 3. Oh, that's all right. So, but I think it would take that sort of thing to inspire that sort of change. And the reality is you would still look at it and go, after Brentford, you've got Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, and 3 out of 4 afterwards. So
yeah, but James, this is your mind working it out. For the casual, I think they might jump.
No such thing as casual anymore, Dara. Don't you know that?
The other thing is the volume of ownership, right? So it doesn't take. You don't need, like with Jesus having so many owners, even a small number jumping across to Mitrovic is going to impact the numbers, and you're going to be able to see it. So the thing is, what James has mentioned there is there are a number of players in that bracket. Mitrovic's not going to be the only one who scores in that time period. So the people who come off Jesus may go to other players. I'm banking on Jesus.
Well, yeah, I mean, like that game week 3 we just discussed it. Yeah. That's the start of Brentford's really long run. Tony 0.5 more. So
this is even cheaper.
We know. Listen, this works for anybody in the game. If a Mitrovic, Solanke, Brennan Johnson, doesn't matter who it is, if they get 3 in the first 2, loads of people go and buy them, irrespective of what the fixtures are. Yes, we absolutely know that. The smarter play with Mitrovic would maybe be to let that go if that's what happens, because then you'd think, well, why did you overlook him in the first place? Because we know he's going to be consistent. I know Dara thinks he'll get 15 goals or so.
Yeah,
and I don't particularly disagree with that. I just look at the first 7 or so and think there's got to be something better there for the spend of the money originally. That's all it is.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that's me taking off my rose-tinted glasses and looking at it and going, yeah, the fixtures are better for other teams and I can spend my funds better.
I think considering what he showed last year, what did Tony get? 12 in the Premier League last year, I want to say, off the back of what, 30? So is it unrealistic to think Mitrovic can get the 15? No. I think that's perfectly reasonable. I just don't think we're all going to make mistakes. Do you want to look at forward player who's got Arsenal away in 4, Tottenham away in 6, these kind of, okay, yeah, you can score, great, but we're all looking for a bit of explosiveness more than normal. Again, a little bit like, who was we talking about? Saying it was many of the Brentford assets, actually, Suj, that if it wasn't for the unlimited, Mitrovic's appeal would be greater, because you'd go, do you know what? I might not wildcard till 16, 17. Fine. He's sit there. No problem. I have him ready. I'll sit him there as a set and forget. Just doesn't feel so right to be talking about the idea of set and forget assets. at the moment. That's why I wouldn't even book anyone into saying, "Oh, I've got to have Pereira." If someone really thinks there's a brilliant 4.5 asset for 2 games and they're going to wildcard, fine. Go for someone else. Looking at the other forwards, just interestingly, 6.5, because we discussed this before, Suj. Welbeck, Maupay, Iheanacho, Alvarez, Che Adams. I mean, he is the best of that, I would say. Unless it became clear that Iheanacho was going to maybe start every week for Leicester.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think he's the best of that. Enough that's probably reflected in the ownership numbers as well, that people have gone towards him more than the others.
So he's not in for you, Dara?
Not from the start. Doesn't make sense from an FPL point of view.
No, I agree. How many Fulham defensive are you going with?
0.
It is a concerning start, though, in fixtures, isn't it? In seriousness.
Yeah, it happens every season. We get somebody. We get like one of the top 2.
I mean, in fairness, like you said, at least all 3 of you have come up and you've all got, I mean, actually Bournemouth's first 4 is a joke. All of you have got something that's quite tough at the start. So as you said, you'll probably all be down there together with it, unless one of you really breaks out.
Yeah.
Then you all have to swing together, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Bournemouth's is first, yours is last, actually. But yours quite condensed into 8 to 14. Feels like it's going to be such a massive period for you, actually.
Yep.
What's the hopes for the season, mate?
Staying up, obviously.
Stage? Is that the only goal?
I think we could potentially do better. It really just depends on what other clubs do. Like, I'm just looking at the teams that were down near the bottom last season, and like Everton have lost Richarlison. Have they done anything else? Tarkovsky on a freeze, decent deal.
I think we're all in agreement that they're in a precarious position, no doubt about it.
Brentford have lost Ericsson, that delivery that into the box for Tony that kind of gives them that second win towards the end of the season to give them a bit of a run to safety. Leeds under Jesse Marsh, is that his name?
Yeah.
Signed a lot of players. Don't know how good they're going to be. Will they be good enough to replace Phillips and Rafinha? Not sure. Is Bamford going to come back? Was that an anomaly that season where he scored like 15 or whatever goals he got?
I mean, we discussed it with Andy. He's not massively keen on Bamford, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
As an FPL or non-FPL, I don't think. He
just
obviously was a miss for them last year, no doubt.
Just looking at the teams in and around us, and I don't think we're a million miles away.
Okay, let's do some quick fire on some players then. If you don't sign a goalkeeper, who starts the season?
Rodak.
You said this to me 2 years ago, mate.
Yeah,
Gazzaniga is
from last time.
horrific. Rodak. You should know that.
He is so toilet,
He's so
mate.
bad. He's not good enough for the championship. He's so bad.
He really is ropey.
So yeah, anybody
European
that's got him
game, Gazzaniga or Joe Hart. How did we survive? I mean, it's one of the things that I should give Mourinho credit for. How did he survive for 3-4 months without Lloris and him in goal? My God. Yeah, he's not good
awful
at all, mate.
Awful.
So I think he's up there as one of the highest owned 4.0 is 12.3%. So if people take nothing away from this, it's don't have Gazzaniga as your reserve goalkeeper.
Yeah, to be honest, just on a serious, I wouldn't advise that anyway. Because if people are booking in Pereira, suddenly you've got Gazzaniga. When you do want to go Mitrovic, you've got 3 and you haven't even thought about it. So yeah, I would try and get a 4.0 from a team that you've got no interest in, ideally.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Defensively, there's not much in depth, but Terence Kongola's 4.0. Can he get any form of a look in?
No, he's not even training with the squad. He's gone. Harry
Wilson, we've not spoken about. There's potential for double-digit returns comfortably, right?
Yeah, I think there will probably become a point in the season where the fixtures are good and owning Mitrovic is not even enough, that you might need to have 2 players. Just with
I feel that optimism coming now, mate.
just the way their link up, like the goal contributions that they had last season was just absolutely ridiculous. Like between them, I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to get carried away or anything, but like similar to where we had like a Vardy and a Mahrez or a Kane and Ericsson, if one scored or assisted, it would be the opposite way around. that kind of way. I think, especially for the price, that you could squeeze 2 in. I think there could come a point.
Right, yeah. I mean,
I'm not trying to compare them to those players at all. I'm just saying that
to be honest, I think Harry Wilson at 6 million is pretty reasonable. I actually think Mitrovic's price is pretty good. We've moaned a lot about forward prices like Calvert-Lewin, Bamford and stuff. Mitrovic 6.5 is very, very fair.
Yeah.
At that point where if people wildcard around about that period, game week 8, where you have that switch, where you've got kind of the pretenders, I've called it, Leicester, West Ham, Newcastle, Villa, all have decent runs as well, plus the 3 promoted teams. Yeah, if it works for you to fit in a Wilson, I'd probably rather that than one of the defensive players at the moment. I think he's another one. He'll tick over consistent, won't he?
Well,
I've just realised
19 assists last season.
I've just realised we're talking about triple Fulham attack now, aren't we?
Yeah.
have we gone too far, Dara?
Where is the all-out Fulham attack chip?
Johnny Pringle is live, YouTube Premier, 10 p.m. Manchester City this evening, guys. Wilson should definitely stay in people's thoughts, though. I truly do believe that. Cabana, you've mentioned, probably out of the first choice team now.
I think with the addition of Solomon, yeah, he'll probably lose his spot.
I take it similar story for Decordova. Reed started the friendly in Portugal, didn't he?
He did. He started on the left. Yeah.
Josh Onomai, is he ever going to do anything with his career?
He's gone.
That makes me sad. Harrison Reed, he's another 4.5 who's going to play.
He will play.
This is interesting because 2 years ago, we spoke about him a lot as a really viable 4.5 million option. Here we are 2 years later, and we'd not mention him because there's a 4.5 number 10 at the same football club. It would be dodgy to go with Pereira and Reed, wouldn't it?
Well, we scored 106 goals last season, and Reed didn't score a single one. I think he was one of the only outfield players that didn't score a goal. So that probably tells you all you need.
Well said. And Jay Stansfield is 4.5 forward. I've said I've heard he's going out on loan. You're hearing
he probably will do. Like if we get a replacement in, then he's no chance. He's gone.
I feel like for Pereira, the budget does in
that's the one.
Stanfields and Gazanigas and stuff. You got Congolo. Like, don't go there.
No, there's no point in looking anywhere else. Okay. Pereira is the budget. That's the budget enabler.
Where do you think we finish?
I think we can possibly get like 14th up to 12th if we get the players in. I think one team is definitely worse than us. I think Forest is a bit of a coin flip. They could either do really, really well, or it could all just go up in flames. Just with the turnover in their squad is almost like 50%. They've got about 5 or 6 first teamers that played the most minutes last season left, and whether they can hit the ground running or how quickly that team will gel, I don't know. But they've got a good manager there, so it's very possible that they could have a good season and avoid the drop. And I'm not discounting that whatsoever. Just depends what the rest of the teams do. I think Wolves are going to have a crap season. Just for I'm going to put that out there.
The only thing I'd say, and we'll speak with Bradley about it later in the week, it's going to be a different system, and it's potentially going to be a different team. I'm concerned about them as well, but with a different system, Neto potentially back in the team, it might.
They've got good managers, James. Like Bruno Lage knows what he's doing.
They also got the sense towards the end of last season was beginning to rub people up the wrong way a little bit as well, where it might get a little bit heated. But he had to change. We'll speak about it with Bradley. He had to change that system. I'm going to guess, Dara, that the team you think is definitely worse is Bournemouth.
Yep.
They haven't done anything yet, and we'll obviously speak to Neil Grover about it later in the week. But you're used to seeing a Scott Parker team. Are they, in your eyes, whipping boys for game weeks 2 and 4 for captaincy?
No, not necessarily. I just don't think they'll have enough goals in them. Same as with us last season. Just Parker's quite conservative, very risk averse, and then I just think the squad they haven't improved it. They've brought in a couple of free transfers, and he's come out a couple of days ago saying that the squad they've got at the moment is worse than the one that they won the league with. So I don't know whether there's funds there to buy players or not, but It's getting very late in the window now.
I mean, you two have both had crapped Ryan Fredericks.
I think he's
Shit! All three of us have, haven't we? But,
yeah, all three.
But it's all right for me. He came through my academy. That's different, isn't it?
Well, you made him.
He had his
you
moments.
made him, so it's right for you.
Yeah, we made him.
Part with him.
I saw him once. He dived to try and win a penalty against someone in Europe.
He had his moments, but he's obviously much older now, and like he's an injury waiting to happen, as far as I'm concerned. So
he's not that bad.
I'm glad we dodged that bullet.
Are you starting with Salah, Dara?
Yep.
Captain?
Yeah, at this point in time. I'm thinking about Harry Kane, but I might just play it safe.
Could that, if Diop gets confirmed, does that have any influence on your...
Not really.
You probably don't want to be captaining him against your own team, but it's possibly the sensible idea. I too think, yes, Salah is the best overall game week 1 option.
There's a second correspondent who's captaining... Second correspondent who's going to captain a player against his own team.
Yeah, because they're not stupid. They know their team's better than we do, mate.
Well, Matt Samuel's captaining Son against Southampton. You're captaining Salah against yourselves.
And neither are bad picks, are they?
No. Both are decent.
Who are you going to captain game week 1?
Me?
Yeah.
Erling Haaland.
Right, exactly. That's my point.
He's playing against us as well. Yeah, I get it. But that's not locked in, to be honest.
I know. Chris Stone won't do that. I'm sure he won't do that.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, Dara captain Salah against his own team is not the most unreasonable thing. Similarly for Matt and Southampton to look at Son or Kane either. I don't suppose any of the other correspondents are going to come on and say that. But Neil Grover, for example, might come on and go, yeah, I'm plan to definitely captain Haaland in game week 2. Well, if he does, most other people are doing that as well, aren't they? So you're honest about it, aren't you, Dara? It doesn't mean you can't get anything. It's just a sensible choice. And if you're going with Mo Salah, it's difficult in almost any week not to captain him.
I've played around with many drafts, some without Salah, some with them, and I just keep coming back to it. It's just a bit of a no-brainer. It's too risky from the start to
Do you think that being a Fulham fan has got any influence on that at all? Like, do you think you'd feel the same if they were going to Forest in game week 1, for example?
No. You just have to remove that kind of bias from it.
Yeah.
And, just makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially with his ownership, everything, just the whole shebang, or lack of defense, or probably high line, which could be exposed. Yeah. Combination of things. Whereas what you said about Bournemouth being whipping boys, I think they'll probably sit back, 5 at the back. They'll sit in deep, and it'll be hard to break down.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, that's not as. I mean, look, if you've got Haaland against Bournemouth or Salah against Bournemouth in 2 and 4 respectively, you're going to be hard pressed not to do it, for example. But yeah, exactly what Dara knows Scott Parker teams well, and the one thing Scott Parker's Fulham team didn't get battered.
No.
Did anyone batter you that year? Once you got the players, I think beyond the first couple. I
think there was 2. There was a 3-0 and a 3-1 maybe, and there was nothing more than that.
Those are not batterings.
No, they're not Leeds-esque, are they? 7-0, 6-0, all these sort of things. No, I think you might take a couple next year. But I also think
I think we could.
But I also think you might give 1 or 2 out actually as well.
Yeah, vice versa. I think we could be a bit of a fun side to watch this season.
Yeah.
Whether we get enough points to keep us up, that's the question.
Yeah, this
is getting that balance right.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm predicting 17th, mainly because I'm not going to predict any correspondence team to go down, but I think it's going to be in and around 16th to 20th.
All right.
They're going to cop out and just go 17th. Neil Grover's going to get the same answer.
Yeah, 17th. Everyone's 17th.
Yeah, I just look at the depth in the league, and with the newly promoted teams, it's hard to kind of know. But I think Marco Silva is a good manager. He's proved it in spells that he is a good manager. And you need the club squad manager fit, right? You can have the wrong manager with the wrong squad and what have you. And it feels like he's got it with you guys. He obviously scored a lot of goals last year. But I need to see it. I didn't watch enough of the Championship.
I think he's been frustrated as well, though, hasn't he, Dara? with the
a little bit.
business,
I don't know whether that was him flexing his muscle. I mean, the fans are frustrated for sure. I'm sure he is as well. But that could have been just like a power move to try to get the ball rolling.
Is everyone behind him?
Sorry?
Is everyone behind him, Marco Silva?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
No doubt about
Absolutely.
that. No.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I would say, all the signings from mid so far, especially some of the bigger ones like Palhinha, they've said that they've spoken to the manager and he's the reason that they're joining. Solomon, even, I've read just the article today. So obviously that was kind of linked back in April and then confirmed today. But while he was unable to play because of the war, he had gone to like an analytics company to find a club that would suit him best, and Fulham came out on top, which I thought was very interesting.
Oh,
That is very interesting.
Yeah, it's usually the other way around.
We'll keep an eye on his price. If he comes in at 5, we're all buying him, Daria.
I don't know. I think it's
what happens.
I think we can wait. We could wait and see till the game we get. We don't need to go in at 5.
Could they though? Because Pereira's so popular. Could they dangle that and put 5 or something?
Maybe. What I would say for FPL managers as well is Marco Silva tends not to rotate his squads. He tends to stick with the strongest 11 more often than not. So once that kind of, I think I know what the strongest 11 is at this point in time. But we've got that early games to see who it's going to be, and by the time game week 8 comes around, we'll have a fair idea of who we want to get in and how nailed on they're going to be.
Yeah, I wouldn't think if these other two, Leno and Diop, happen, I wouldn't think that's it for you. I wouldn't think window closed. I think it could be more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there'll be more depth at it as well.
Yeah, I think that probably applies to the majority of the bottom half of the league at the moment, or those who think they'll finish.
But yeah, it's a matter of getting those key guys in first of all, and then we can bulk it out and do whatever. Obviously, shift a few guys.
Dara,
Tony Knockers,
chatting to you, mate.
Yep.
I wish you the best
As
of luck.
always.
I think it'll be difficult. The majority of the correspondents, and it's a small majority, would have you to go down at the moment. But
that's to be expected.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think. I was surprised it wasn't more, if I'm honest, just because of Forest. At the time that people put predictions in, Forest just gone and got quite a few players in and stuff as well.
Yeah, but do you remember when we did that as well? They're very reminiscent to us, I think. They're just at the same kind of stage, and not necessarily because they're spending the money, but it's just the quantity of the players that they have to do and the turnover in the squad. They're doing their transfers a bit earlier. I'll give them that. But let's see.
I don't think they're not finished either. I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they've signed Omar Richards and he's injured, and they're looking at another left back now by the looks of things.
Yeah, to follow in, and probably Moreno as well.
Yeah, Moreno
from Betis. Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a good season. I think the relegation battle to me looks even more interesting than the top 6 or the top 4.
I'll let you know about that in May.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Depends on the squeaky bum time for James around then. Dara, thank you so much for joining us. Just let the listeners know where they can find you on Twitter if they're
on the Bird app at the Tinkermen. That's about all. That's basically where I am.
Anything to plug?
Nothing to plug. No, just you guys. I'll be back here.
Lovely. Jubbly.
Look forward to it, mate. Thank you.
James, talk to me about this journey. Where are we headed to next in Correspondent Week? Episode 7 next? 8 next?
Yeah, well remembered, sweetheart. It's time I got you out of London, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a bit much.
Yeah, we're going north for the next 2. Aston Villa next with Lee Jackson.
Fantastic. Looking forward to speaking to Lee about Villa, and they've done a bit of business as well.
And they've got a superstar fixtures.
A lot of people who are playing the fixtures are thinking about targeting them. So do stay tuned for that. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you are listening to the podcast, and hit the old notification bell. We'll be back at you with that. Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, Dara. Be nice to each other.
Cheers, guys.
Cue music, please, man child.